get down.
Welcome to 2 Month Review, the weekly podcast brought to you by Open Letter and 3%. This is Chad Post from Open Letter Books. The podcast, I screwed it up for the first time in a while. I had this down to where it's like completely like autopilot, but this is a podcast in which we take a giant book, Ducks Newburyport in this case, break it down bit by bit, talk about it, analyze it, make jokes, have fun. Joined as always by Brian Wood, author of Joytime Killbox.
Thank you, Chad, for having me on. I appreciate being here and the time.
You're welcome to be a guest on this podcast.
Thank you for letting me be a guest again.
Anytime. So this is a makeup. We tried to do this on Wednesday, I think it was, and my computer went crazy. I think it's fixed now, but it has a problem where it just decides to mute itself and turn itself back on.
No, we were talking about world leaders, and then I think they hacked.
The rest of the day it did the same thing. I'd be listening to music and it would just jump in and out.
You remember the movie? We'll go back to the 90s for a second. You remember the movie Hackers?
Yeah, I do.
That thing has aged wonderfully, by the way. If you go back and watch it, the computer generated images of people hacking and what's the guy's name? Zero Cool.
Oh, yeah.
That's a really great name if you're a hacker.
I think there's a How Did This Get Made episode on hackers.
I
can't
not surprise me.
No,
would not surprise me.
Oh, speaking of which, I want to play a game with you.
Sure.
I'm going to play a game with you that everyone at home can play along with. There is a movie called Age of Dragons. It is one of the worst rated movies, like Rotten Tomatoes ratings for a movie that was made from a book that's based on a book.
Okay.
What book do you think this? Did you say it?
No, I haven't.
What? Okay, so here's Age of Dragons, guys. Age of Dragons is got a dragon on the cover with a sword. Danny Glover's in it. It looks very medieval. What book is this based on?
Bluest Eye?
Moby Dick.
Oh, of course.
They replaced the dragon. They replaced the whale with a dragon and made a movie version of Moby Dick.
I was trying to make a dumb answer. Like they're just going to give the dragon a blue eye.
The real answer is dumber.
The words would be worse.
Like who thinks that would be a good movie to watch? Anyways,
it starts off with, "I'm getting too old for this shit." It's like a dragon flies over his head. Riggs.
Oh my god!
Wow, that sounds awful.
Yeah, I want to watch it so bad.
Watch that.
Yeah, it seems like right up my alley. We've been watching some real crap movies.
We covered 70 pages on this section.
777 through 862. We are almost done, guys. This is one of the last. We have 3 episodes left, counting this one, and then we'll be completely done. And that includes like this last chunk. That's all.
Yeah.
They don't.
Wait, so you're
necessarily read.
You're a publisher. You're more into this kind of stuff. I saw just from some of the tweets and stuff on book Twitter. But what in the hell happened with Galley Beggar in the last week?
Wow. So the day that we tried to do this on Wednesday morning, we did talk about this a bit. On Wednesday morning, the Galley Beggar had made up a call. Yeah, good stuff. Put out a call to try and raise emergency funds, £40,000, because there's this group, I forget what it's called now, Book Something, that is like a pop-up shop that does certain bookstore things, sells certain books. And as part of their program, if a book is shortlisted for the Booker Prize, they buy 8,000 copies of a hardcover version of it and sell them. And they were going to give Galley Beggar £40,000 for these copies. So they had to create a hardcover edition, put it all together over like a very short period of time, get the copies to this place, and that place went bankrupt and is in receivership and no longer has any money and has told them they're not going to pay them at all. So they lost the £40,000, which for any press is bad, but for a press that they have a super successful best-selling sort of book, but nevertheless, I'm pretty sure there's shoestring operation, and £40,000 would be below. So all the book people got together and chipped in £1 or £10 or £100 or whatever, and they got to their £40,000 in like 7 hours.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's very, very good for them, and Lucy is very supportive of it, obviously, and a lot of people banded together. By the time we even talked about it, it was already over.
Yeah, is that why you don't do very many hardcover books at Open Letter? Just the cost of.
No, there's like a couple reasons. This was the thing that you were asking about. I remember is that.
Do you like how I just slid in like a dumb question?
Like a segue.
Like it was my first time ever asking a question.
Dude,
so tell me, what are midichlorians?
Why no hardcover? So the hardcover situation is tricky. When you have a book that's going to do well, like I like hardcover books for the most part, depending on what it is. But I always get like the books I'm really into, I'll buy the hardcover when it comes out. Like
for me, it's like purely just like collecting.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna put it on my shelf. I want to like read it and keep it and like pass it along. Like I like having a hardcover.
Yeah, absolutely. But the problem isn't so much the cost. It's not so much more expensive to print a hardcover, but the advantage is they tend to get treated as like real books and get reviewed in like larger places because they're more serious. When people started doing trade paperback originals, those books wouldn't get reviewed because they were like, oh, that's not a book that you care about. You only care about these ones. So it's like a signifier. But when you do a hardcover, you only have about 3 months before the book gets returned from the bookstores because they cost a lot to stock. And if they're not selling, they can return it and get 2 paperbacks that might be selling quicker. So the store doesn't want to get their money tied up in inventory that's not moving. So you usually only have like 3. Yeah, you only get like 3 months. And if you don't do well with the hardcover, then there's no reason to do a paperback and that book will be dead and it just won't ever come out again. But if you do well with it, then you can do a paperback edition and get more sales in the future. So we're doing for our climate change book in September, that will be hardcover and a full normal hardcover price. And then theoretically, if everything goes well, we can do a paperback in a year after we sold out of this like massive, 20,000 copy print run. The paperback
global warming is a hoax, and then your book means nothing.
It's true. It's still got stories. It's just fiction. We just call it fiction.
You can pulp it and burn the carbons into the air. I don't know.
Book is very depressing to read on an airplane, by the way.
Yes. Flying over the Atlantic, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's real solid. Really makes you feel like you're doing the right for the world. But with paperback's going to stay in the stores for like 9 months to a year, so it's much easier to like have a time to get them going. With our books, we don't get reviewed when the book comes out generally. It's at some random point in time. And if you do a hardcover, you really want those things to be timed. So it has to be a good reason. Yeah. And like, I
just wanted my book in hardcover because it made me feel like I'm a real author.
That's true. Yeah.
Because it doesn't count. If it's soft cover, it doesn't count. Paper doesn't count.
You should ask Bo to do a special version.
Yeah.
Just a gift version.
Just ask for favors left and right. Why not?
Just ask them to, I don't know, do anything. So yeah. So Galley Beggar was saved, which is great. And this section that we're covering.
And so was her daughter in this section. That works out perfect.
So is her daughter. Yeah, you're right. Parallel. Everything is in this book, man. Everything is in this book. So the big thing that happens in this section is that Stacey goes missing. And we find out that later, after they get her home the next day, that she had left a note saying that she's going to run away to Arizona. I think for the Native American tribe that's there.
I think it was Hopi.
Was it? Yeah. And instead, so she went and she tried to hitchhike. They went in the wrong direction to Dover. She got dropped off there and nobody would take her anywhere. So she slept on the side of the road and then came home the next morning exhausted and like, whatever, ignoring it. And then we come to find out that the reason that she did this really was that this guy that she had been sort of seeing, she broke it off and he threatened to kill their cats and she was scared of him and ran away for that reason. So it's another time in which like there's this outside violence, obviously, especially male violence that comes up in this section or in this book.
Speaking of random violence, did you read that article about, I think it was in Kentucky where they just like a bunch of horses were shot?
No.
Like just like random hoodlums are thinking, just driving around shooting horses.
Oh, isn't there a book called They Don't Shoot Horses, do they?
I don't know, but it seems like a nightmare that would be in this Ducks book.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think it was like probably like kids or something because it was a low caliber rifle, like a 22 or something that like a kid would have.
Like a kid would have.
This is a starter gun. This will get you started. But yes.
Is it in here where they talk about
horrific.
Adam Lanza and like his mom would take him to shooting lessons?
Maybe, I don't know.
I think that might have been in the last section.
You just said everything's in here, so why not?
It's in here somewhere. It literally like anything I talk about will then all of a sudden show up in this book.
Oh yeah.
For sure. I don't know. This is this is a good section because it has like a little bit of the plot thing. I didn't have a good take on, I don't remember what we were going to talk about on Wednesday. At that point in time, I hadn't read the next 50 pages either. So it's a little bit confusing to remember what's what. But yeah, it's moving along.
Yeah.
There was, oh, I know what I was going to tell you, is that we talked about like how the book is essentially plotless, or like it's mostly it's all voice driven. It's, you know, there are certain things that come up, little stories that are told and references that are made. In this section, we have the Stacey storyline of sorts. And it's interesting how it's told in reverse again, where it's like you get the event and then you get to hear the explanation, which is, there's a term for it. I want to say prolipsis, but that's probably wrong. But I knew it from Gravity's Rainbow, because that happens all the time in Gravity's Rainbow, where the consequence happens, you learn the consequence before the action. But the thing that I was going to say is that the two people who are on the week that you weren't here, Rebecca and Josh, they kept saying, kept alluding to, like, they're like, oh, I know what happens to this. So there is a plot. It's a very conventional book. It's got a rising action and a conclusion, but you sort of won't know till the end. And I keep wondering, like, now I'm very intrigued to get to the end of this and see like what they mean. Because I can't see how that would happen.
There's going to be some sort of climax, or, you know, some sort of clash
after 900, and I'm on page 893 right now.
Well, you know, like,
you only need one page, I suppose.
You build up to it, and after that's done, you basically just have the kids land on the boots of a captain and get out of there. Like,
yeah,
you don't need to dilly dally after.
Boom, get it.
And like, I don't want to read into it, but I do feel like there's an interweaving of the lioness. Like, somehow they have to cross paths.
The next section, I think that they do.
Yeah,
and the section we're going to talk about on Monday, I think that they do.
Yeah. And then again, as the mother lion is getting more kind of frantic and daring as it's searching for its cubs, I feel like our narrator is kind of unraveling a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
In the same way. But one thing I have been noticing, I've seen some people on Twitter talking about as well, is just how, like, she doesn't do anything. How passive, how helpless, how, like, it's almost like she's in stasis with all of these problems going around. Whereas conventionally there would be some sort of action or drive or push or something what forces our hero to go on their journey, or, you know, whatever the plot device thing we want to use or talk about. But that doesn't seem to be happening here just yet.
No, except that her desire, I think, like, her big thing is to protect her kids.
Well, yes, but what is she doing to protect her kids?
She goes to find Stacey. Actually, I think Leo drives around looking for Stacey.
Yeah,
but they both do. I'm sure.
But no, like, we're getting we've been calling it a torrent of consciousness, which I really like.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, what are the actual actions, or what is our character doing to, like, take control of a situation, or, like, impart some sort of change in her world?
I don't think that she is.
No, I don't think so either. And I don't want her to.
No, I don't want her to either.
Because, like,
most people don't have.
No, and I think this word gets thrown around a lot and used incorrectly a lot. But when you think of something being Kafka-esque, I've just been reading up on it a lot, just because people keep throwing around with my stuff, and I've never really considered it Kafka-esque necessarily. Yeah, but just the idea of, like, being powerless in the face of, like you're a cog in some giant machine. Yeah. Right. And you realize, like, you have no power, and, like, the nightmare is the fact that you're part of something bigger and you have no power and you have no say in what it is, and you're just along for the ride. And that's frightening. And it's like when he wakes up, he gets arrested for the trial, and like, what did I do? No one's saying anything, but he's going through the process. Yeah. Without any kind of grounding or footing. And then in a way, I feel like our narrator is, like, realizing all of these systems that are creating all of these results, and there is absolutely no power you have as an individual to change it. Like, you just have to like quiver in the face of it. That's all there is. And that's terrifying. Yeah. That's truly terrifying.
I think that's true. The difference between her and Kafka's things, I think, is that Kafka's, like, whenever I think of that, the characters are always trying to figure things out, and they're thwarted by absurdity and by the system. She's not really even trying to figure things out per se. She's just letting all the thoughts or all that roll over. But you're right. It is like seeing the system, seeing, like, there's even plastics in blank. There's even like, this is, they cause the cancer and then they find the cure for it. Sort of problem. Like, it's very true that, like, all those systems.
And again, you're seeing all the systems have effects on her life in every conceivable way. Yeah. Like, I guess it's something I was tuned into just because in my story collection, I was really kind of like the thing that threads it all together is different forms of impotence. Like usually you throw out the word impotence, you just think of like a limp dick, right?
Yeah.
But it's like helplessness, like having no power, being helpless. And I keep seeing this like impotence throughout this work as well, where even within like, she's like, I'd like to have sex more, but I can't. Like, you know, when you have cancer and your body's like, you don't trust your body anymore. I don't have the time. I don't have the energy. I don't have the, like, just that she's completely helpless. Like, how do I help my kids? How do I help my family? How do I help myself? How do I, like,
I think this was an earlier section too, but we even mentioned, I think it was in the last week's one, but we talked about how if she had 3 wishes, her wishes were to like go back in time and like help her mom or have a conversation with her mom or help raise Stacy better. And like her wishes are to like correct these things that she sees as being, has her own flaws, but they're also, they're so egoless in a way.
Yeah. And it really like hit home for me in this section because here it is, her child's gone. And like, what do you do? Like,
can you imagine?
Well, I'm sure most parents at some point their kid tries to run away.
Did you run away?
I tried to, but nobody noticed.
Yeah.
Or cared. So I was like, oh, I better go home.
Now with cell phones, it must be really hard to run away.
Oh yeah. No, but like again, like she doesn't really do much because what is there to do?
Yeah.
Like,
you just drive around looking and hope.
Well, like it's like how long do you have to wait before there's like a missing person? It has to be like 48 hours or
that's always like in the TV, which doesn't even I was glad that she didn't reference that here. Instead she's like, when I called the police, they're like, what did you do wrong? Basically, like, what
did you do to
why did she run away? Why did you make her run away?
But again, like that, like it really hit home for me again of like this idea of just being absolutely helpless.
Yeah, I mean, right here, so she's talking about incel characters. The fact that America is not a safe place for a girl. The fact that nobody's safe in America is like what you're kind of talking about.
And then I mean, you also see it kind of play out too with Stacey. She tries to do this like that's a really big, brave, bold move that she makes.
Yeah.
And what does it accomplish?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Gets her a dog. They get a dog.
Yeah.
They get a dog to protect the cats.
But it ends up being such like a feeble, helpless, pathetic gesture.
Yeah.
Like
it's very in a way very small. Like the heroism is very small.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I'm trying to think of like how like that you could like what would be I don't know. I think that's interesting. I think that'll be interesting to see how that plays out too. Like, if there's any like lesson, if there's any like Bakhtinian sort of like, what are you supposed to take away from this character? Like, what is the author saying is like a positive statement of like the not morality, but the action or like what you could learn from it. And I don't know that right now there is anything except for compassion or empathy, which maybe that's all you need. I mean, we're talking about all these people with their open carry shit. We need people to like each other.
Yeah, seriously.
There is also this funny part about the weird laws. I looked it up and they did arrest people in South Carolina for braiding hair without a license.
Oh dear. Like people on the front porch, like Friday
style?
It's
like just like a business. Like you have to be licensed.
See, that's some racist shit right there.
I think so. I think that's pretty fucking racist. and then there's the
wait, it's in South Carolina. They're racist there?
No,
get out of here.
That's insane. This was my favorite of like her weird law. So one other law that she references, you can't drive around the town square 100 times in a row, which someone must have done to cause such a law to exist. But my favorite one is the fact that in Tennessee it's illegal to shoot animals from your car unless it's a whale. The fact that they made an exception for that, even though Tennessee's not on the coast.
There's some total fat shaming jokes you could do with that, but I don't want to go there. Tennessee, love you.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, my sister, every time we'd go on, living in California, we'd usually vacation in Mexico. It's like Florida for California, I guess.
Yeah.
And every time we go, my sister would be at the beach and there's the people that like comb the beach selling stuff or whatever. And there's a lady that'll braid your hair. And my sister would get her hair braided like in cornrows every single time. remember even like as a little kid, like, what the fuck are you doing? Do you realize how stupid you look? What do you stop doing this? Why are you spending money to have somebody braid your hair like that? Does it feel better to have like your hair braided while you're at the beach or something? Why are you doing this? It always bothered me. I don't know why. I was like, yeah. And then they put like put the little shells at the bottom.
Oh
of
yeah,
it,
yeah.
You know, so like
she's a disco girl.
Yeah, it's whatever.
Save the turtles. And
always bothered me.
Yeah, no, I'm there. I'm there for
go buy
girls.
Some fireworks. Go buy some fireworks
or tequila.
M80s and tequila. What are you doing?
This was funny to me in this on page 829 where it says Mr. Potter hanging onto the $8,000, which I would have no idea what that was reference to, except that I had to go see Chloe's "It's a Wonderful Life" play, and that's Mr. Potter takes the $8,000 and steals it, and that causes all the trauma in It's a Wonderful Life, which I still believe, I maintain, is a pro-suicide movie or play. He should jump.
See how much better it is without you?
Yeah, I mean, these people had bad lives. I think that's a flawed premise.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. So, also, like, what pressure is being put on George Bailey in this situation? Like, all these people's lives would suck if you weren't born. So now that you're around, you're gonna have to do a fucking lot to make sure that the world keeps running correctly. Isn't that wonderful? Jump.
I've never
just jump.
Like I know the plot points of it. I've actually never seen It's a Wonderful Life.
The play version was not good.
Okay.
It was
Don't say that. It's your daughter.
She's not gonna listen to this.
Okay.
And I already told her. She did fine in her roles. The problem is that they cut out so much that like the scenes become illogical.
Oh, so
like it's really hard to figure out like what.
There's like a Reader's Digest version of it.
And like the adjustments in time. So like it's whatever 1945 when he's gonna jump, or 49 when he's gonna jump, and then they go back in time, but you don't know how far. And then all of a sudden they're like, there's a run on the bank, and you're like, I don't understand what's happening. And it's the Great Depression, but like there's no context cue that would allow you to know what was happening. Like it was a bit tricky.
They should try to update that, but with dragons.
Dragons.
And Danny Glover.
Too old for this shit.
No, it's not Danny Glover. Get like Louis Gossett Jr.
Oh my God.
Because he was really good in Watchmen. So maybe, you know.
Oh, I can't wait to watch that. I'm up to issue 8 right now. So yeah.
Do you think, just like a quick sidebar, because all I want to talk about was impotence, and I got that out of the way.
That's totally good. It's totally good.
Went too fast on that. Do you think some people shy away from big books because it takes more of your time to read them, and you get more credit if you read lots of books versus like do a deep dive on a book?
I think
because like I could read 5 books in the time it takes to read this one, and then it looks really like, you know, I get more kind of like social currency.
You get more tweets, you get more content.
Yeah. No, because I think I don't know why I started mentioning to you a little bit, but like in 2020, I think I just want to read a lot of big books.
Yeah.
Well, not a lot, but like I want to read. Like I always kind of put them off because, you know, your bookshelf starts stacked. Like you get the stack of stuff you want to get through. You want to try to be up to date with some newer stuff, and so you know, 250 or less sounds pretty good. But
just crank it out.
No, I want to go like 800 plus only in 2020. Like big book. Let's start off with some big books in 2020.
Hell yeah!
That's my idea.
A few years ago, when Carolyn Kellogg used to work at the LA Times, she would ask people for their like reading goals for the New Year resolutions. And there's one year where I said I was going to read 10 giant books like that, or over 600 pages. I think was my goal, and it was going to include like Bleak House and whatchamacallit, the trilogy from Marias and things like that. Yeah. I think I did. I think I read 4 or 5.
Because I think I've only probably in my life have read 6 or 7 big books. It's pretty lame. Like I probably only read like 6 or 7. This might be number 8. I don't know. But if you guys, any audience members, if you have the community, if you have any big books you would recommend, please shoot us an email or something. I'd love a recommendation.
Garby's Rainbow.
I've already read the Bible, so I got that. I got the Bible and the Odyssey down.
I'll show you the one that, you got to read Ulysses. I'll show you the one that I was thinking of reading.
Ulysses is on a list. I'll do that.
You vamp for a second. I'm going to show you something.
But no, I've been like, I don't know. I normally shy away from the larger books just because it's such an investment in time. But I'm really, really enjoying taking my time going through it. I wonder if anybody else has had a similar experience with that or not.
I feel like social media causes a certain pressure to like want to be able to keep saying that you're caught up to things. And
well, there's that, like, whatever, slow down, who cares?
Yeah,
but there was that one author that tweeted out, like, why is any book over 200 pages, right? And just, it's like, well, I don't know. I can think of a few books I've read that are over 200 pages that are worthwhile.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, like everything that Faulkner wrote.
Almost everything, but yeah.
So one that I thought of reading this next year is Miss Mackintosh, My Darling by Marguerite Young, which I think I've referenced on here before because it's 2 volumes. When Delkey did it, they did it as 2 volumes.
There's a lot of words on the page.
There are a shit load of words. Like this, for anyone watching this video, you can see how small this type is.
Like a textbook.
Whoops. Volume 1 is 618 pages. Volume 2 brings you up to page 1,198. But they're like dense, small pages, and it's like very hallucinatory and strange.
It's like Bible pages.
I think it was considered at the time to be the longest book written by a female.
Wow.
I might be wrong about that, but I feel like that was one of the things I read or came across because it is, I don't know how many words it is, but it's like 1 trillion. Yeah, approximately, because it's giant. But Delkey has a ton of big books. Like also Fernando del Paso is another one that I've set aside as like a big one to read.
Oh, I've never read 2666.
That's another. We should do that for this.
That could be a good one to read.
That would be great for this. We'd have so many guests that would want to come on here. I'm down for that.
Okay.
And we need to do Rodrigo's book next, though.
Yeah, sure.
Rodrigo and then 2666.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, because they were friends.
Okay.
They're good friends. Maybe he'd come on and tell some Bolaño stories.
Cool. No, I've had a really, I don't know. It's a great. I've had a great experience every time I've taken the time to read a big book. Like the first one was Moby Dick because it's one of those ones everybody talks about reading, nobody reads it. And when you actually do sit down and read the whole thing, it's like, wow, this is really amazing.
Yeah, because the dragons.
Yeah, because of the dragon.
The dragons are great.
When that dragon eats his leg.
Amazing. And like it's just like Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
you should read that. It's long.
Sure. I tried to read that and I got to like page 3 and then it said the red gem shone redly. I was like, fuck it, I'm out. I don't know why. Like I should be forgiving, but like if you have that on like page 3 or 4, like I cannot do this.
No, that's rough. That's very rough.
I might have even said like the ruby red. Even that would be even better, but yeah.
Oh my god!
But it shone redly.
One good big book for you to read, or that I don't know if you'd like it, but The Familiar by Mark Danielewski is multi-volume thing, and they're giant, but they read really fast because there's only a few words on every page. It's like very visual, okay. So you can feel like super accomplished. Yeah, like I read like one of those. They're like 600, 700 pages. I've read one in like 2 days because you just like go through.
But we've read this very slowly
for a long time.
I feel like this could be like easily taken down in a couple of weeks.
Oh yeah.
Because if you just read like an hour, like it reads really fast. And I think again, it's a testament to Lucy Ellman's skill. Like I think I'm just so continually impressed with how wonderful it sounds. Mm-hmm. I'm really big on sound, and like this just sounds. I've said it so many times. I hate to say it again, but it sounds so stinking perfect.
Yeah,
like it's beautiful in the way it's written.
The voice is so consistent in a way that it seems almost, like otherworldly. That's because usually like within most books, there's like odd notes here and there that you come across. And you're like, that makes that character quirky or whatever.
Well, like whenever I teach, the thing I like to use is like I would say, like sometimes it feels like it feels like you're running through mud.
Yeah,
like you're kind of slogging through it because it's too packed with fancy words, or you're using too many adjectives in a row, or whatever the reason. Yeah. It's just too purple, too flowery. Like this is like sprinting on concrete. Like it's like this continuous sprint on concrete. It's so terse and tight and perfect and seamless. It's so impressive that this high wire act goes on for 1,000 pages without misstep. It's unbelievable.
So
it makes sense why it's getting all the. I mean, it makes so much sense that it gets all the press it's getting.
It's funny too.
I just hate that people keep like commenting on the form and the length.
Yeah.
Because who cares? Like get past that. Like look at what it actually is, what it's saying, what it's doing. Like that's where the magic of it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. There what was I gonna say related to that? I forget, it doesn't matter. I think that I know what I was gonna say, is that's why it's so fun to like you can focus on any section too and see like how that works. And like when we're talking about the patterns and the various things, like it really does reward that close reading and that letting it go.
I don't know, any of the folks that listen that teach literature, like think of how you could teach this book. Like if you wanted to like teach it each semester, how many different ways you could teach it, what you wanted to focus on.
You could use, I mean, they came up with the other ones last week, but now I can't remember what they were. But there was like, I suggested that they put together a book. Someone put together a book of essays from various people on this, because you could do one on like mother-daughter relationships. You could do one on the
American gun culture.
American gun culture, the way that the flow, like the meander spiral explode stuff, like the construction of it. There's like a million different things that you could go through. They had I know what it was that it came out of a suggestion that Rebecca had, or a question that she had about how it seemed like the stories as we go along get longer. That the early on, there's a lot of references that are sort of like X, Y, the B at bread loaf, the blank, 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 blank. And then they sort of get unpacked into like longer stories as we go along. And even the Stacey running away story is like fairly long. It takes up a number of pages, where early on it did seem like things are like just one, I was gonna say paragraph, but like one little chunk, and that was it. It reminds me of is it 62 a Model Kit? It must be. The Cortázar book. Is that right though? Or is it
I don't really read a lot of books, so
I think it's 62 a Model Kit, that the beginning chapter is basically everything that's going to happen in the book, and then the rest of it is the unfolding of that. I might be wrong, someone can correct me, but I think that's what it was. Have you ever seen a UFO?
Me? No.
I always wanted to see a UFO. It's like one of my dreams.
I've been like super high at the beach, and I was like, no, dude, you're tripping. You're fine. We do this thing in Santa Cruz where you eat mushrooms and you build a bonfire at the beach, and you see all sorts of shit.
Oh, yeah.
But it may have been aliens. I don't know. But sober, I have no idea.
Oh, man. So we have to go to another event, so this is going to be a short one. Do you have a quote that you wanted to use?
I think I wrote down 829. I don't know why I wrote that down, so let me pop up and see why. Hold on a second. Do you have one while I'm flipping through?
I've
noticed I'm getting it's getting hard to read when you get to the back part of it, because my left hand
can't hold it.
My left hand is like this weird. I can't get the spine to open right.
Dude, I was gonna say the same thing. Like I was trying to do it like with one hand, and I can't. I have to like sit it down and like open it. It's like too problems. Yeah.
Oh,
it's too narrow.
The very end of it, I think the note I wrote was strong onomatopoeia game. So impressive, because I almost always hate onomatopoeia in books because they're so just terrible.
Yeah.
And this was like really good. Again, it goes with how it sounds. I'll start a little bit above it on the bottom of page 829. The fact that every boy we know knows all the moves, how to hold himself and the gun, depending on what kind of gun it is, and whether he's playing a police officer, soldier, school shooter, terrorist, bank robber, drug dealer, or a gangster. Kaboom, kerpow, pew, 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 brrr, brrr. The fact that you can even give them a squirt gun, they'll pretend they've got a military firepower.
Oh my God.
The fact that I'm not sure kids play gangsters anymore.
Yeah.
I just really was, even their onomatopoeia game's on point.
Yeah. There's a section coming that's like that too. That's really amazing.
She's got game.
She has everything. This is one of the greatest books of the year, if not all time.
I'm really excited I want to go back and look at some of her earlier work. Just to see.
Me too.
Because I don't know, like me as like a very young burgeoning author, seeing somebody like at the height.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh God, how do they do that? It's like, whoa, hold on. This is like, they've been doing this a long time. They know what they're doing. Let's go back early and see how good and how it changes or whatever. And so I'm really excited to see like the evolution as an artist, because I'm so impressed with where she is right now.
My favorite line I'm going to use is the fact that I always thought Baked Alaska sounded more amazing, because I didn't know what the fuck Baked Alaska was until recently.
It's cool.
Sounds disgusting.
What are you talking about? It's awesome.
It sounds terrible.
You don't like marshmallows and meringue?
No.
Oh, you're a weirdo.
No, it's like everything at once.
No, it's like ice cream.
Yeah, and marshmallows and cake.
But it's an insulation, so you can toast it, and then you get a toasted burnt dessert that has cold ice cream on the inside.
I'm good.
I always wanted my mom to make that for me, and she never would. That's why I ran away.
We tapped into something. So there we go.
I ran away. away.
You have to run away.
I don't know. I've never made baked Alaska. I'll make it for your birthday.
I looked it up and I was like, what the fuck is this? Like,
It's science.
Who thinks this is good?
Because science is great.
This is like baked Alaska is like the embodiment of the Minnesota State Fair.
No, baked Alaska is proof that global warming is fake.
There's like,
how is this ice cream not melting? Look, I'm burning this baked Alaska. Ice cream's fine.
You can get deep fried beer. You can get a deep fried beer. Like, you can do anything. My other favorite
I have
line.
deep fried beer. I'm sure the earth is fine.
Cool.
Crunch, guzzle, guzzle, guzzle.
The other line I was going to say that
Hashtag
relates to that.
Fake news. Can I get a deep fried sticker, please?
Deep fried Snicker inside of a Twinkie. The fact that the Chinese used to be all on bikes, but now it's cars, and the polar ice cap is gone. The fact that America started it, though, is also a good uplifting quote for us Saturday morning.
Yeah, I've heard too, like with the Chinese introducing a more Western diet with more meat, like we're screwed.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like
That's no good.
Cars and meat.
Dude, this plant-based,
later.
everyone just needs to get Impossible Burgers and plant-based. It's so good.
No, but those are even worse for the
They're
environment.
so good.
I've heard that's even worse than
Can't possibly be.
Yes.
No.
Where do you think they process all that stuff? In a plant?
In an outside plant, you just grow it. It just grows.
No,
you
a plant. A plant. Like
You just take the plant, put it in, then freeze it.
Yeah.
It's simple.
Yeah.
It's so good.
What, you think it's like Native Americans with like a all natural process making your Impossible Burger?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Why would it not be that?
It's like vaping. just smoke cigarettes. If you're gonna die natural.
Oh my God. Anyway, okay, so we'll be back on Monday with Elizabeth DeMeo will be joining us to talk about everything up to 9:15, 9:17.
We're gonna talk Impossible Burgers with her.
Yeah.
I think it's the vaping of the vegan diet.
I think it's delicious.
I think it's an awful idea.
I'm on board with Impossible Burgers. They do not sponsor this podcast yet, but they should. I will rep them hard. I am a sucker. It is the only vegetarian related thing that my children will eat and have no idea. They have no idea that it's not like a normal hamburger. They just go with it. So that's a plus.
All right.
It's a bonus. It's a tip for all the parents out there. Okay, we'll see you on Monday.